Kansas City, January 1935. A man checks in to the hotel president. He gives his name as Roland T. Owen. He pays in cash. He asks for a room on the upper floor, away from the street. He has no luggage. 3 days later, the maid opens room 1046 and finds him beaten, stabbed, and bound to a chair. Still breathing, barely. He dies in the hospital without ever saying a word about what happened. No killer is ever found. No real identity is ever confirmed. And the phone in that room kept ringing for days before anyone died. Someone knew he was there. Someone was watching. And to this day, nobody knows who Roland T. Owen really was. On January 2nd, 1935, a man walked into the hotel president in downtown Kansas City and checked in under the name Roland T. Owen. The hotel staff noticed him immediately, not because he was loud or demanding, but because he was strange. He had no bags, no coat despite the winter cold. He paid cash up front, which wasn't unusual for the time, but something about him felt off. He seemed nervous, or maybe careful, or maybe both. He was assigned room 1046. The first odd thing, he kept his room almost entirely dark. When housekeeping came to clean, he asked them to leave the lights off. He sat in a chair near the window, watching the street below. He barely ate. When room service brought food, he barely touched it. The second odd thing, the phone calls. Starting from his very first night, the phone in room 1046 rang constantly. The calls were short. Sometimes the staff overheard his side. Clipped, tense, monosyllabic responses. Yes, no, not yet. One maid later recalled hearing him say, quietly but clearly, "I don't want you to come here." On January 3rd, a hotel employee spotted a man leaving room 1046. Tall, dark coat. He walked quickly toward the elevator and didn't look back. The employee assumed it was a guest's visitor. He didn't write it down. He didn't report it. That was probably a mistake. The morning of January 4th, the maid knocked on room 1046 to deliver fresh towels. No answer. She used her master key and opened the door. The room was dark. She reached for the light switch. What she found would stay with her for the rest of her life. Roland T. Owen was slumped in a chair, hands tied behind his back. He had been beaten severely about the face and head. He had been stabbed multiple times. A rope was wound around his neck. And yet he was alive. She screamed. Staff came running. The police were called. An ambulance arrived. As they loaded him onto the stretcher, one of the officers leaned close and asked who did this to him. Owen opened his eyes. He looked at the officer, and then he closed them again without saying a single word. He was taken to General Hospital, where he died the next day, January 5th, 1935. He never regained consciousness. He never spoke again. The room told investigators almost nothing useful. No fingerprints, no murder weapon found on scene. The rope was common, sold at any hardware store. What investigators did find, the half-eaten food on the table, a single cigarette still burning in the ashtray when the maid arrived, and the phone still warm from use. Someone had been there, someone had beaten him, and then someone had calmly walked out, taken the elevator down, and stepped into the Kansas City streets. Police circulated a description. They ran the name Roland T. Owen through every database they had. Nothing came back. No criminal record, no hotel history, no travel records, no birth certificate, no driver's license. Roland T. Owen did not exist. Someone had to identify the body, so the hotel owner paid for a proper burial. A death photo was taken and published in newspapers across the Midwest. Then came the break, sort of. A woman in Memphis, Tennessee saw the photo. Her name was Ruby Owen, and she recognized the dead man as her son. But her account was thin. She didn't know who her son had been working for. She didn't know who she'd been in contact with. She didn't know why he was in Kansas City. And investigators couldn't be sure, she wasn't saying. The identity of Roland T. Owen as Charles Owen was never fully confirmed. Fingerprints from the room were too degraded. DNA testing didn't exist. Then, weeks after the case had gone cold, something unexpected happened. A woman named Sophronia received a package in the mail. Inside was a set of men's clothes, suit, tie, shoes, and a note. The note read, "These belonged to a friend. Please take care of them." No return address, no name. The clothes matched the description of what Roland T. Owen had been wearing when he checked in to the hotel. Nearly 80 years later, room 1046 remains unsolved, but the theories are compelling. Theory 1. Organized crime. Kansas City in 1935 was a mob city. The Pendergast machine, a political crime syndicate, controlled the town. Gangland killings were not uncommon. The phone calls, the secrecy, the visitor who left without being seen, the total erasure of his real identity. Theory 2. A personal killing. Some investigators believed this was intimate, a crime of passion or revenge. The level of violence was personal. You don't tie a man to a chair and beat him like that unless it means something to you. The phone calls suggest fear of a specific person, not an organization. Theory 3. He was being used as bait. One of the more chilling interpretations is that Owen was placed in that room deliberately to draw someone out, that the phone calls were being made to or from a third party monitoring the situation, that Owen himself may not have fully understood what role he was playing, and when the plan went wrong, he became expendable. None of these theories have ever been proven. None ever will be. The hotel president still stands in Kansas City. Room 1046 still exists. Guests have requested it by name. Some claim to feel an unusual chill in the room, a persistent sense of being watched from the window. True crime has a way of making us think every mystery has an answer. We just have to find it. The right detective, the right DNA sample, the right cold case podcast. But room 1046 refuses that comfort. We don't know who he was. We don't know who killed him. We don't know who kept calling that phone. We don't know who mailed those clothes or why. What we know is this. A man checked into a hotel, alone, in the dead of winter. He was afraid. He tried to keep someone away. He failed. And somewhere out there, in 1935, someone knew exactly what happened in that room. Someone walked away. Someone lived a full life after that. We will never know their name. If this case unsettles you, good. That means you're paying attention. Subscribe for more cases that don't wrap up clean. Like this video if you want us to dig into more forgotten mysteries. And drop in the comments, what do you think happened in room 1046? I'll be reading.